Alright, today we're asking ourselves, is the Dominus cycle lazy game design? Well, is it? That's the question. Sneaky G for better, Commander. Hey, listen, YouTube's telling me about 75% of you aren't subscribed, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button while you're here. Spoilers have just about finished for Phyrexia, all will be one, and it's a fairly exciting set. There are a few interesting new legends, lots of goodies for players who want to win via poison counters, lots of interesting story beats, and a bunch of completed planeswalkers. Listen, complete them, get them the heck out of my face. So what the heck is up with the Dominus cycle? 5 cards, 1 for each color. These guys are huge, building-sized, legendary horrors that align with their respective praetors. So this is what they all have in common. They all have a way to get an indestructible counter on them. They're all mythic. You can see the alignment of the various Phyrexian aesthetics. Each Dominus has distinct visual cues to let us know what sphere they reside in and suggest the look of the color and mana they're aligned with, and each could be their praetor's older cousin. When these were spoiled, I was interested to see what these towering monsters could do, what was their unique ability. Well, I was a tad disappointed. It seems each one is just a retread of previously known and decidedly broken cards, with maybe one exception. Now listen, some people may say, hey Nicky G, you've never made a game, brother, you never designed a card, you don't know how hard it is coming up with new stuff all the time. Yeah, you know what, that's true. I also never made prime rib, but if I go to a restaurant and I get prime rib and there's dirt and hair all over it, I have the ability to criticize it. I can say this is no good. I never played in the NBA, but if some dude goes out there and just gives himself a traumatic brain injury and scores no points, he probably shouldn't be out there. And I can point that out too. This set is the first of the new year, and I think after recent disasters, the folks at Wizard want to put their best foot forward, really show them the old razzle-dazzle. They want people cracking packs, and nothing does that better than chase mythics that go in a lot of decks in lots of formats. Hey, you know the thing people like to do? Yeah, double it. So let's take a look at the Dominus cycle with a critical eye and put the hype aside for a second. And also, as part of Wizard's genius strategy to make us buy packs, there's 3 versions of each one of these cards. I'm going to showcase each one. To be honest with you, I don't even know how you get them, what packs they're in, if they're in the collector packs or what. So we got Mondrak, Glory Dominus, 2 white for a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror. It's a 4/4. If 1 or more tokens will be created under your control, twice that many tokens are created instead. 1 Phyrexian white and 1 Phyrexian white. And 1 generic mana, sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mondrak Glory Dominus. So a 4/4 for 4 with no evasion. That isn't meant to do damage. It's meant to sit there and double your tokens. Well, listen, this has been done before, right? Well, there's Parallel Lives, there's Doubling Season, we got Primal Vigor, Anointed Procession. Additionally, Adrix and Nev, Twin Casters, Kaya, Geist Hunter all have this effect. This is generically very powerful but not particularly unique. Anointed Procession is $40 right now. It's the most direct comparison. I may be a little cynical here, but this seems like a lazy design choice for this awesome looking creature. Yo, how am I even supposed to pronounce this? Tekutal. Inquiry Dominus, 2 blue for a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror. It's a 3/5 with flying. If you proliferate twice instead. Has 1 and a Phyrexian blue, remove 3 counters from among other artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control, put an indestructible counter on this guy. I like that he looks like he's got an octopus for a face. I always wanted an octopus for a face. That's really fun. He looks like something designed by Jin Gitaxias. This is a card that does something we've never seen, I guess. It's aggressively costed and has some evasion, but it doesn't have toxic or infect. This thing is going to go in a lot of new infect and proliferate decks. Oh man, then we got Drivnod, Carnage Dominus, 3 black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror. It's an 8/3. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Has Phyrexian black, exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard, put an indestructible on this dude. Come on, dude, this is just Teysa Karlov. We already have this, same exact text. Teysa has that sweet token synergy, can use white. I think they work well together, definitely. If you have a Teysa deck, this guy goes in. The 8/3 stat block is really weird. Like, why? And it has no evasion whatsoever. I mean, look at this beast. The art suggests like some kind of big combat monster. Hey man, what you doing? You doing anything cool? Nah, you're just copying Teysa Karlov. I think this is a bit lazy. Alright, then we have Solfim Mayhem Dominus, 2 red for a legendary creature, Phyrexian horror. It's a 5/4. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. Has 1 and a Phyrexian red, discard 2 cards, put an indestructible counter on this guy. This thing has a really awesome look to it. Looks like he's just spiking Elish Norn's guys on molten metal spikes. He's as big as a building. This is a fun activity for a 400-foot tall, four-armed Goro of a horror. So what's the unique and interesting mechanic? Oh, doubling non-combat damage. There are almost too many cards to list that double damage in one way or another. Each has its little idiosyncrasies. Soulfim is at least a bit more interesting because it deals only non-combat damage. There is a deck here for sure, but it will probably look similar to Toralf, and they definitely go in each other's decks. Contrast this with the recent Burn Commander Gearson Starn Killer Morph. This has the hallmarks of an interesting commander, this Gearson Starn, and that Gearson Starn takes cards that wouldn't normally see play and makes them good. See, it's interesting game design instead of, hey man, double burn. This guy's lazy. And you got Zoprandel, Hunger Dominus. At least it gets points for being an original name. 5 green for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It's a 4/6 with reach. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. Has a Phyrexian green, sacrifice 2 other creatures, put an indestructible counter on Zoprandel, Hunger Dominus. I really like the art on this thing. It's insectile, but also beastly. I'm not sure if I've ever seen an effect like this. Oh wait, Unnatural Growth does the same dang thing. Zoprandel is powerful, and at least I've not seen something like this in the command zone, at least nothing that does this for all your creatures. Xenaghost does a similar effect, but for one creature only with haste added. Thrakus the Butcher does this for all dragons. Agana Turtle Ronus doubles power on ETB. You know what? I have seen it in the command zone. I changed my mind. You know, after kind of mulling this over, I'm a little disappointed in the design of these new legends. I think they're just generically powerful, just to be generically powerful themselves. There really isn't any compelling reason to build these as commanders. They offer nothing new. That said, they go on a lot of decks. I'm sad that some of these are going to be super expensive. I think it just rewards lazy deck building. Zoprandel is the only one that has a steep mana value, but 7 mana is pretty achievable in green. Techathol is unique in the fact that I've never seen it before, but slapping on double proliferate seems a bit lazy. How does that relate to the character? That was the disappointment for me. I see these obviously huge, terrifying monsters when the art was spoiled, and got psyched to see what new mechanics they reflected, and in the end there were none. And how does the art reflect the mechanics on the card? Techathol seems to have a thing about making Vorinclex and Urbresk fight, or he's manipulating them somehow. What's up with that? Is he a puppet master pulling their strings? Well, who cares? He's doubling what proliferate. Soulfim looks so massive. He has lava pouring out of his body. I guess doubling non-combat damage kind of fits that guy. Drivnod, I'm kind of disappointed by this guy. I don't even know. I think he's meant to sit out there doubling death triggers like Teysa, but he's really just a redundant copy. 8 power is a lot, but getting chumped by a 3/3 will make you real sad unless you're exiling cards from your graveyard. If you had the creature sacrifice ability from Zoprandel, it would have at least made sense. In Teysa, recurring creatures from the graveyard is a core strategy. I don't know why you want to exile him from the graveyard to give that guy indestructible. And Mondrak doesn't seem to have any connection to tokens based on the art. It's a really cool looking big monster. It's got 7 screaming mouths. It's exploding the architecture all around him. Why does this token double? Anyway, let me know what you think. It's fun to theorize and pontificate, but we won't really know how good these are until they hit the table a few times. It seems like they were cynically designed as generically powerful chase mythics. Nothing wrong with that, but I wish they brought something new to the table. This is Nicky G from Better Commander, signing off.